All right. All right. I'm recording now. So, to get started, you're going to click on the CMS icon on the navigation panel and you click Create New. Now, Webflow already have some inbuilt collection template for us to use. But for the purpose of this class, we are going to start afresh. Now, we've been working with this Sun District's website, and that is actually what we are going to use. Now, one thing you need to know about CMS is each of the item on your website is actually represented as an item on the CMS when you're building like for a particular section, for instance, this blog section. And for the body of the blog, you can use something called rich text formatting. And the benefit of the rich text over paragraph is that rich text accommodates images. It accommodates quite a number of styling that you can do to ordinary paragraph or text block. Now, looking at this blog section that we need to build, we have the thumbnail image, we have the title of the article, we have the summary of the article, we have the author's image, the name of the author, and the published date. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. But when you're building a blog, you can actually have more than 5 items in your CMS section, and we are going to go through it together. Now, to get started, we need to create a collection name. Now, this collection, it is what is housing the entire blog items. I don't know if I'm clear. Any confusion there? Sorry, please, I would like this class to be interactive. I'm a very, I don't know, I'm an introverted person. I don't talk, I don't do anything. So please just bear with me and engage, please. Please bear with me and engage. All right, so I said this collection actually houses the entire blog that we are creating. So now let us title our blog Sun District blog, or we can just title it whatever it is that we want to title it actually. But I think I would just title it blog because of the slug. Now, what this slug does is, let's say for instance, our website is sundistrict.com. This slug is the additional URL that will follow the website. So if I had used Sun District blog, what you will see there is sundistrict.com/sundistrictblog, which is actually not ideal. So that is why in most cases, you can just title it blog, you can title it theme, you can title it FAQ, and use just one word or something that is really direct, that is very in proportion to what you want your URL to be. So for this example, we are going to use blog. Now, when you scroll down, we need to have different items in our blog section. We need to start with the basic info. Now, originally, this comes with anytime you're trying to create a new blog. So it says name. What we are going to put here is the title of the blog. So we have the opportunity to rename this to the blog title. Now, this help text will actually help, maybe for instance, if you're building for a client, is actually just like a placeholder text that will allow your clients to know that, okay, this is actually what I need to put here. This is the main title of the blog, because sometimes you might be building blog that you have different sections and different elements. So the blog title is, so the help text, I'm just going to write main title. Most times you don't have to fill it. It is really, really not compulsory. And also keep in mind that this name, it is not something you can actually delete. It comes automatically with Webflow. And we're going to see how we're going to add other input field for our blogs. Now, the next thing is to come here to click on add field. So this is where you're going to customize other element of your blog. If you look at our design, the next thing we have is this thumbnail image, which is actually going to serve as the cover image. So here we're going to use the... All right, Sheena, you have a question?
Yeah, it's perfect that I was following up with just one second ago. You said there's something that is automatically done by Webflow.
All right. So if you're looking at these collection fields are elements of your blog in terms of this thumbnail image, the blog title, the summary, the author's image. So Webflow automatically have one input field for you for the collection to get started. So most times it is name, but I just
Like
rename
this
it
is the
from.
first block.
No, we are not even adding any blog yet. We are just creating the input field for the blog. So
Okay.
yes, so the way it
And then
works, okay, I will explain. So the way it works is before you start adding your blog content and your blog elements, you need to actually create an input field in line with your design. So what I mean is looking at our Sun district, when you were building in Webflow, directly with what David was explaining before, you can just create a div log, a div block, padding large, container large, padding section large, and all of those elements, and start building directly. But in the case of CMS, you need to actually first create the blog item. So the blog collection. Then the blog collection is going to house each of the items that will appear in your blog. For instance, if I have a collection that says main title, that means in my blog content there is a main title element. If I have another item in the blog collection that says thumbnail image, that means in my blog design there's actually a larger image that serves as thumbnail, like what you're seeing on my screen right now. Is that clear?
it's super clear. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So what we are doing now is we are trying to create the collection field for our blog. So I renamed this from name to blog title because originally this comes with Webflow. It's not something you can change. So now if you click on add new field, now this is where it gives you that flexibility on what your design is looking like. If you look at our design, the first thing we have is the thumbnail image. So if I come back here, I click on the image element and not on the multiple image elements. This multiple image element automatically works like slider for CMS. Let's say for instance, you're building for like maybe like a real estate company, for instance, and you have like a property showcase. In situation like that, you can use multiple images. But because we are working with just one image, so we are going to click on image. Now, this image gives us a bit of customization, which is the label. So I'm going to title this label thumbnail. Oh, block thumbnail. Now, the help text is to actually direct your client to say, okay, this should be the cover image. It's just a placeholder text for you to guide your client. Now, you also have the flexibility of setting image sizes. I usually do this when I'm handing over a project to a client. The reason is because most times clients can just probably download or tell their designer to help them create some designs with heavy file size. And these things can actually affect the page speed in terms of optimization and how the page loads. But when you set all these requirements, it gives you flexibility of not even looking back because you know that what you have done, the client might not actually not even go there to say, oh, they want to change the size. Because most times clients will actually be making edits in the editor view and not in the designer view like we are doing now. So you can set the minimum size, the you can set the width, you can set the height, and you can set the image size. Now, another thing that is important is to set if this field is required or not. For us, we are going to set required because we want all our blogs to have thumbnail images. Any questions so far?
Nope, that's great.
All right. All right, so I'm just going to click save. Then let's go back to our design. The next item we have there is the title. Now, in this case, you might be tempted to use rich text and plain text. So, all right, Ekene, any question? Okay. All right. So, thank you for actually calling my attention to it. So, since we already covered the name, so I think the next thing we should go to is the summary. So, we've covered the name, we've covered the blog image, right? Is that not what you're saying? All right. So let me quickly fill in this back because sorry, discard changes. Sorry. So because I've not saved this blog that I was creating, so I might have to do this again. So let me just quickly recap this. I titled this blog. Then the name, which I said automatically comes with Webflow, I changed it as blog title. That's what Ekene was calling my attention to, right? Then here the help text, we use main title. Thank you, Ekene. So save. Then the next thing we added was the image, just one single image. So I can use blog cover image. All right, so the next thing we should be looking at is the summary. Thank you, Ekene. So for this summary, you might be tempted to use rich text. I won't advise you use rich text because rich text comes with a lot of styling. So here, just use plain text. Now, the reason for the plain text is because plain text, you can decide if you want it like, okay, I want a plain text of maybe multiple lines or single lines. But rich text, like I said, it accommodates images, it accommodates codes, it accommodates quite a number of elements. You can even style your H1, H2 to H6 headings in rich text. We're going to get to that part. So for this part, I'll just title it blog summary. Now you can set the limit. I usually put the limit around 150 characters for my client because I don't want them to have a very long summary. It might actually this because most times when I'm working on page settings for the SEO, I usually pick the blog summary as the meta description. When I'm doing blog, that's for the SEO setting. We'll get to that part if time permits us for this class. If not, for the next class, we're going to address it. I usually use the CMS summary for a blog as meta description. So I usually set limits to 150. You can set it lesser, you can set it longer, but I just feel 150 is ideal. Then I'm actually going to click this field is required. If you notice here, I did not put any help text. It is not necessary. It depends on the type of client you're building for. So I'll save. Back to our design. Then we have image and date field. So we'll come back here and we click on image. So this one I'm going to title it blog author. I can put help text if I want and set all of this requirement size also because I might be using any image at random here, so I do not want to set any requirement here. So I'll just make sure I click this field is required and save. Now there is okay. Let me finish this at every item here before I show you one of the important things I actually want us to cover. So the next thing that we'll cover here is the date, which is of course published date for the article. Then if you want to include time, most blogs you won't say time, but you might just want to be so particular on that you want to include time picker, then you can specify that. But I don't think we need that for the design we are working with. So I'm just going to click save for this field. Is there any field here that we are yet to cover? The author's name. Now we covered the image of the author. Now we need to cover the name of the author. All right. Yeah, yeah. No, it is advisable date time. Yes, it's always advisable use date and time. So we have field for the blog author, not specified. So we can just put.
And is it okay? And is it okay that you didn't put it as a required?
Okay. Thank you for that, Shina. So I can just add required and save. So it's always important to do this if you don't want your client to actually miss out some important information when they are uploading. Because sometimes if you did not set some field as required, a client might fill some parts and leave some parts open and they will tell you, oh, I just tried to add the CMS item by myself and I'm not seeing this element. And just giving you some stress that is just basic omission. So here I'm going to add the last one. I'm still going to use name, which is actually going to be the author's name. Now, all of this title that I'm using, you can actually use anything that you want because all these are not going to reflect in your URL. One thing that is actually important that is going to appear in your URL is this slug that comes with the title. We'll get there by the time we are filling in our blog content. So, but every other items here, you really don't need to worry about, oh, what am I using to save it or not. It's you can be flexible with whatever it is you want to save it with. So this author's name, I need to set it as required also. So I'll come here and set required. Now, there is something I want us to address here, which is blog categories. You've seen quite a number of blogs, like there is something I did. There is a blog I worked on for a client. Um, 1 second, please. So I just want to show us something. Although this, so now if you come to the, so here we title the blog market insights. Now you can see there are different categories here. Now the way categories of blog can be structured, we have something that is called we have the multiple reference and we have the single reference. Now, how it works is that, let's say, for instance, I want to search for, let's say, Google Ads, for instance. This article is particularly under Google Ads, that is why it is still showing. But if you notice, some of the items might not show, but that is actually not the important thing here. The difference I want you to note is multiple reference means if you have a blog item that is under one or more category, or most likely under two or more categories, while the single reference item that is under one. So if I'm building a blog and I have my categories as innovation, development, and let's say innovation, development, and creativity, and I have a blog that is serving under the innovation and development case, I might have to use. But if I know that everything I'm creating is just going to be attributed to just one category, to use one reference. Yeah, the reference is not going to be active until you create its own category by itself. So this is how we go about it. What I'm creating here, I just need to create collection. I need to pause this. Now, back to our CMS. It says no blog item. So I need to create a new CMS item for the category. That is the only way my reference and multiple reference can be active. If you come back, sorry, let me just quickly bring you back to this section. If you see here and I click add field, I can't select any because I'll still be working on blogs, but I want a category for blog category, not for blogs. So in that case, I want to exit without saving. What you need to do is create a new CMS item for the blog categories. So in this case, we are not going to have many fields. The only thing we are going to have is just the category inputs. And we're going to create about 3 or 5 categories. So now here, I'm just going to title it categories. Now here, you don't need to use blog categories because of your slug item. Don't forget, whatever name you use here is actually going to reflect in your slug. So I'm just going to use categories. So for instance, if I have a blog that is titled Ade is a boy and my website is sundistrict.com, so I'm going to see a slug item of sundistrict.com / innovation as a category / Ade is a boy. But if you use something different here, it might actually going to reflect wrongly. So in this section, just make sure you use category as the title of your collection, which is fine. And the only thing we just need here is the name. We are not adding anything. The name is fine. Here I can just title it maybe blog category here, but I don't even need to title it blog category. Name is fine as well. So I'll just create collection. Ekene. Yes. So if you look screen now, we have email marketing, we have paid ads. So let's different articles that cover graphic design, UI UX, web development, and so on. Yes, that is correct. Is that clear? All right. So for some district, now we need to enter our category item. Don't forget, we have not filled in our blog sections yet. We are still working on the categories. So if I click on new, because I only have name, it's going to show me just one input field. So in this case, I'm going to type different categories. So let me say technology, for instance, create. So I'm going to add about 3 or 5 categories. A new one. Any suggestion that you think you want me to use here for the different categories of the blog?
Finance.
Finance.
Let's say Webflow.
Okay. One more.
Process.
All right. Process. All right. Now, since we are done here, we just come back to our blog here. Now you can see our categories is showing 5 items, but our blog is showing no items. So let's come back to blog. Now I can click on this setting icon and come back here. So now we want to add our reference. So for this, for the purpose of this training, I'll be using multi-reference. The reason for multi-reference is because single reference is just when you are having one article attributed to only one category. But multiple reference, I can have an article that will feature under finance, and it will also feature under Webflow, and it will also feature under process. So whichever sorting that the client is clicking or the reader is clicking to check, the article will still appear either of the categories that they are clicking. So I think for the purpose of this training, let's use multiple reference since it's even the most technical one to deal with.
Yes.
All right. So now the new field that we are adding is multi-reference. Is multi-reference. All right. Now I want to title it categories. Sorry. All right. Now I need to come to this part and select which collection do I want to use as my reference. Now don't forget we have already created the collection for the category. So here I can just come and select the categories collection. Then set, of course, this field is required and save. Okay. Okay. Yes. All right. So it is showing stage for published because you don't have any item attributed to it. By the time we click on this section, so stage for published means it is ready for published, but it is not published yet because there are no items inside. Don't forget, you can't just publish category. You need to publish blogs, but because you don't have your blog content yet, that is why it is still showing stage for published. You're welcome. All right. So the next thing I'll do here is to click save collection. Now we have our field for our blog selected. Now we need to come and fill in the content. Now there is one thing I want you to know for CMS items. So let's say for instance, you're working on a very complex, maybe you are trying to add services for CMS. Now everything that you are going to show in the featured item and everything that you're going to show in the main blog page, you are going to add it to the CMS. So it's not like you're going to have multiple CMS. Let me read that again. So we do not have the blog content for this section. So ahead of this class, I already searched one template that we are going to use as a guide on Figma. So which is still loading as our blog content. Now, if you notice, we have filled in all our input field, but we did not fill in blog content. And it is actually incomplete. You must fill in your blog. Anything that is containing or particular to that blog item must be filled from the CMS. Whether it is showing here, they want to read on the blog and they want to read the content, they want to read the content, they want to read the content, you must add it to the same CMS. Yes, triple CMS, triple CMS. The only creates another CMS and link into a CMS is when you're using reference. Is that clear?
No, exactly. No, exactly.
All right. I'm item to load. Then let me go back to Webflow and show you something. If you notice for our blog um item here, let me click on setting. So if you notice for our blog item here, we have the input field for title, we have the input field for thumbnail, we have the input field for the blog summary, we have the input field for the blog author, we have the input field for published dates, author's name and category, but we did not fill in anything for the content itself that people will read. For instance, if you click on this blog now, it is actually going to lead you somewhere. Yeah, this is the content that you're going to read, but we have not filled in input for this content. That is what I was saying. Do you understand now? So you
Yes.
so it is not like you're going to create another CMS for that. You're still going to come here, add field. Now, here it is advisable that you use rich text. The reason is because, like I said, rich text is very flexible and accommodating than the regular plain text. It can accommodate images, it can accommodate all your headings, H1 to H6. It can accommodate quotes and whatever styling you want to give it. So for the blog content, we are going to use rich text, and I'll just title it body. Make the field required also. Save. Now, the way CMS works is that, so let me go back to this page here. Now you're seeing each of these card elements here. We even have the reach time. All of these things that you're seeing on this the thumbnail, which is the featured item, and the entire information that you're going to see inside the blog must be CMS. Now in a CMS that you put, but if you come to when you're filling a blog content and you just write maybe you drag in a text field, or you drag in any heading, or you drag in any image, that image is going to appear in all the blogs and you'll be able to change it. This only this CMS that give you that dynamism for it and to edit and thing you want to change peculiar to the individual blog items. I'll get to that in a minute and make it clearer. But now that we have added the body, so we're just going to click save. For the purpose of this training, we're going to be using this styling for our blog body. I just saw this on Figma and I thought, okay, it's a simple plug that we can use to learn. So now that I've added the blog content, which is the body, and I've saved it. Now to add items, you can either import from CSV, or most times you actually create a new blog. Another thing Webflow does is, if I'm not creating a new blog, I'll click cancel, for instance. You can generate auto items. So let's say you're just creating some sample images, just like we have Lorem Ipsum. For Webflow, they can generate some just random article in line with your input field that you have created. Maybe 5 items, 10, 20, but we are not doing that. We need to enter them manually for the purpose of this training. So I'll click new blog. Now, this is where it gets simpler. Now, whatever, let's say we're going to have 5 blogs. So this is where you enter the title. This is where you enter the thumbnail images for each of the individual blogs, and so on and so forth. So let's start. Can somebody give me a blog title that we can use? So let's just generate random titles for ourselves, different title. Okay, what we have for the design is repetitive. Okay, good. So I'm actually just going to copy as text, then paste. Now, in most cases, the slug comes automatically with the title. Don't forget, the slug is what is attached to your URL. So in most cases, you might not even need to edit the slug. It just picks the title. And for the sake or essence of SEO and Google crawling your website, I think it is always best you use the title as the slug also. When you paste the title, the slug is generated automatically. Now, then the images, I need to come back to this design and export the image. We only have 3 items here, but I would like us we need to have each of the items linked to every category we have on the image. Okay, I can still work with the one Rex. Okay. Then I just need to click here and select my image. Now, in this case, you do not really have the control over the size. So whatever CMS images you're using, just be very, very attentive about the size of the image you're using. Originally, Webflow will not allow you to upload an image that is more than 4 MB. No matter what you're building in Webflow, their limit size is 4 MB. But you yourself, you can say, okay, I just want to work with 2 MB because of page speed and optimization. Then I'll come back to the design, summary, I'll copy as text, paste, then author's image. Okay, I need to export that first. So for this one, I'm going to use about 4x because the image is too small. So I just need to make it very, very visible. Now, I don't know, maybe it was Ekene that asked the question of which input field I use for date. So the reason why you have to use the date input field, so when you click here, I can just come here to select the date the article was published. So you can go back and let's say January 4th, 2023. That is why you need to use the date input field. Then the author's name, then the category. Now, don't forget we use multiple reference. So now for me to select category, if I click on finance, I can still add process, I can still add technology. This is because we use multi-reference, which is the multiple reference. If we had used just the single reference, we will not be able to add more than one category for a blog. Exactly. All right, guys, please engage me, please. If I'm taking anything too fast or too slow, please let me know. All right, then we come to our blog content. So I think I'll just leave this for 3 categories. Then we'll come to our blog content. So we're picking it from this. We're picking it from this. We do not have the blog section. Blog contents. Blog contents. Blog contents. Blog contents. Blog contents. Copy as text. Then Ctrl V to paste. Now this is where the styling gets interesting. Now we need to set headings and we need to probably highlight some as quotes. So if I select this first one, for instance, let me just press enter so I can have some space. If I select it, I have the opportunity to use H1, H2, H3, H4 to H6. And I can say, oh no, this is just regular text, but I want it bolding or italicized or depending on superscript and subscript on how you want to use it. So for the purpose of this training, I think I'll leave it at H3. Then this section, I want to leave it as a quote. So Webflow CMS for rich text automatically have its own styling. So now there's a different lesson on how to actually style rich text in your designer view when you're designing. But this is actually what we are creating for the CMS part. So I'm going to leave this as quotes. Then come to this next section. This 1914 should be heading. H3. Now, there are some blog sections or some blog posts like we have here. There are images in between these blogs. Now, how do you go about that? So let's say I want to add the image above or underneath this 1940. Now, can you see this plus item that is showing? You click on it and you can select image. Now, sometimes you may not see these plus items because this plus icon because it dances around, but just make sure you can even press enter multiple times just for you to get the plus item. Sorry, the plus icon. Then you click on it. Then I'll select image. Okay, but I'm working with image. So I'm just going to pick a random image from my download. Okay, let's say I want to use this. Now, image like start an image like this. There, load, image to 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 load. So you can set the alignment, and now what we have is align center. If I click here, it's actually going to stretch to both edge. If I click here, it's actually going to come to align left. Then here is actually going to have the next paragraph come beside it. I don't know if that is clear. Then if I click on this one, it's going to alternate the next paragraph coming before the image. But in most cases, you're either going to use align center, justify, or align left. But for the purpose of this training, I'm going to use justify. Now, don't forget, when I was trying to get this plus icon, I clicked enter multiple times, so I can just go back up and just close the gap. So you are allowed, when you're doing your design and maybe I need to just get the plus icon and it's not showing, maybe it's dancing around, I can press enter as many times just for me to notice that, okay, I'm seeing this plus icon. And once I've achieved what I needed to do, just, of course, click your backspace and now we have the image. Now, once you click on the image, you are allowed to actually add caption. Caption is necessary for your, of course, for your readers' usability, so they understand whatever image they're using. Or sometimes if you're working on a blog that you need to probably credit the author of the image, you may want to put that in the caption. So I'm just going to use image of a girl for that. So let's start for that. Then here I want to make this an heading also. I'm going to make it H3. So you can always use enter to create spaces in between your rich text elements in the CMS part. So this section also, I'll make it H3. Then enter to separate. Of course, another section here. H3, enter to separate. And I think that will be all for the content. Any questions so far? No. All right, so I'll click create. Now, if you come here, Ekene was asking something about it was showing stage for published. So it was showing stage for published because the website after adding your content. Because you created might have been category and you do not have any CMS item attribute. Maybe you're not as a draft. Maybe you're not as a draft. Maybe you're not ready to. Maybe you're not ready to. Maybe you're not ready to. Maybe you're not ready to publish here. You just want to fill in the content. Published if you've published an article, you've published, or you can schedule. So this scheduling works for maybe you've written, but you don't want them to go live. Don't want them to go live yet. But because of this free plan that we are working on for this design that David started, we are unable to access schedule. But for publish and unpublished, by the time I save and I publish the website, of course, we'll be able to unpublish the website. But for this schedule, we'll not be able to access it because of our hosting plan. As you can see, it says upgrade to CMS hosting, business hosting, or any e-commerce hosting to enable this scheduling. But right now, we can't access it. But usually that is what it works for. But for the purpose for us to proceed, I'm just going to click create. And then we can add multiple items. So for the rest of the items, so here the next article we have, okay, let me export this image first. Then the title of the article, how to select best solar. All right, Bolaji.
Yeah. So I noticed something
Okay.
from the blog content.
Yes. Good. Good. So now in that case, we need to come back to our CMS settings here and add a new field and type use image, and we can select, let's say, blog, or let me just say header image, and save. Now for the by the time we start designing here, you can see we have written by the name of the author, the date, and the title. You don't need to use this input field again because we already have them on the thumbnail. But the image that you called our attention to, we just added it. So I'm just going to export this image, and I'm actually going to repeat this image for the entire blog body. Or no, there's no need for me to repeat. So another thing we can do is, if the image on your header is actually the same thing with your thumbnail image, which is actually your cover image, you don't need to. Do you understand, Balaji? Yes. So I'm delete this new field I added because I'm actually going to repeat this image. I don't need to have a separate header. That just take note that whatever new thing that you are going to have separately on the blog body, you must have an item for it here in your collection field, because anything that you do not add item for in your collection field and you add it in one of your pages, by the time you get to editing individual pages, it's actually going to appear in all of the pages and you won't be able to edit it. So yeah, I'm actually going to delete this item. All right, we're done. Then save collection. So let's go back to adding the rest of the items. So I'll click blog and add the second title. I really hope we can get to the functionality part of the sorting filter, how to add search function. Those are the really interesting parts that I think we'll enjoy. So blog summary, paste, image. Okay. Yeah, definitely. No, not dev link. Sorry. Let me give you the designer link. So I'll just paste that in the chat section here. All right. There you go. You're welcome. All right. So, uh, I think what I need to do now is to flick to fill this cover image. I think this is it. Let me go back to my design. Okay, that's correct. Then, okay, the image is there. The author's image is the same thing. So I'm actually going to repeat that. Images, the author's images, the author's images, the author's images, something. Author's name. All right, author's name. Let me just use. I want to have different names for the author. I don't want to just use the Emmanuel that we have there. So I'm just going to. All right, Michael Ola. Then the next thing is to select the date. So let me pick something around October 10. So here I'm actually going to use Webflow and technology as a category. Then the blog content. So I'm actually going to repeat the same content and just change the styling. All right, so let's change the styling. Yeah, still H3. I think I just want to have two H3 here. The rest can just be the body, no image for the sake of our time. All right. I said we need to have about 5 blogs. So the next one. Any questions so far? So what I'm doing now is just filling up everything we have for the blog. Select blog image. Blog summary. Bolaji, please permit me to use your name here for the blog author. Let me just use Bolaji. Smart, are you still following on your end? All right. categories, keep editing. Sorry, please. So here I'm using process and finance and Webflow. Then copy the content. Alright, so here I'll just have the title here as my H3 and save for the purpose of our time. Alright, so now we have 3 blogs. I think let's go to our designer view before we come back to add the remaining 2 blogs. So now, one thing with CMS is when you create a CMS item, it creates a collection pages automatically. As you can see, we have for categories and we have for blog templates. Now, for the purpose of SEO, because we are not going to be doing anything with our categories, you can actually just come to this edit setting for the categories and turn off this publishing. The reason for turning off this publishing is because by the time you are done working on your website and you maybe add some site index and some Google schema and some other SEO functionalities to actually make Google crawl your pages, this will, by the end of our project, this is going to be an empty page, and you don't want Google to crawl an empty page on your website. So just turn the publishing of this particular category template and just turn it off and save. For the categories templates, I said you should always turn it off because by the time we start building, we will not be needing it. So what is important now is this blog page. Now for Webflow, when you are creating, you can always come here to add new page. But by the time you create a CMS item, you already have the template for the CMS. So now I'm actually going to click on this CMS template. Now we have a blank window. Now, one thing I want you to notice is beside the blog template at the top here, you can always navigate the page you want to work on.
I'm so sorry. Could you show us how you got there again? I missed it.
All right, so I'm back to the home page. If you click on this page icon, this pages, you can see the blogs templates. Don't forget, I titled my CMS as blog. So Webflow is going to add templates beside any word that you title your collection item with. So for this one, I titled it as blog. So that's why I'm saying blogs templates. And the categories, I titled it as categories. That's why I'm saying categories templates. So if I have themes, I'm going to say themes templates. And whatever it is I use as title, I'm going to say template beside it. So for us, we're going to come to blogs templates.
Got it.
Now
Thank
it is
you.
blank. Yes, you're welcome. Now it is blank. So because we are using client first, I can just come back to this home page and then copy the page wrapper. I can click on it, right click here, copy. That is because I still want to maintain the entire thing. Then come to my pages. And come to blogs templates. Click on body and paste. But I'm going to delete everything here except I'm going to delete everything we have in the main wrapper because we don't need them. We only want to maintain our. All right, good. Now, the same way you started with client first, you create, of course, a D block. Command E or Control E is the shortcut to actually bring out the search bar. Then a div block. We're going to start with section underscore blogs. Now, don't forget, what I'm doing here, I'm working on these blocks templates. But if I go to any of the blog pages, right now I'm on the environmental impact. If I come to how to select the best, I'm actually going to see the same thing there. If I come to tips to get started with solar, I'm actually going to see. So the benefit of this CMS is that instead of you having to repeat your task over and over and over again, it just helps you to streamline them in a way that when you make an edit on one of the templates, it reflects on all of the pages. So in the case whereby you are having 50 blog items, you only need to work on one. You only need to design one page and every other thing will generate itself automatically. That is how Webflow works. So I click, then next thing is padding global. That's inside my section blogs. We already have the global class set, so I'm just going to come here and select padding global. Then Command E again. The next thing should be padding section. So the next thing is container large, then before padding section large. But I think there is one thing we need to do which is very, very important. So guys, I'm actually going to take us back in time, back to our home page. Now the reason I'm bringing us back to our home page is because looking at our design, we are here to create this section on the what I was creating there is now the entire blog content, which is template into using to use as our content to create this section that blog on the existing design. Now I don't know if any of you have done any collaboration on Webflow. For me to use the flow document David has been working on, because invite edit and I can edit. And this is actually very useful if you're working with a client. In most cases, you don't have to maybe collect their login details, or all of those things are really not necessary. So if you come back to, so let me go to dashboard for instance. Let me just quickly show you this in case you want to collaborate with somebody on the Webflow project. So for me right now, I have multiple workspace that I'm working on. But what is important is if you click on this drop down menu here, you're going to see manage spaces. So these are the amount of spaces I'm working on, but really that is not where we are coming. So let me go back to my dashboard. Sorry. I'm supposed to select teams. I guess because of this free plan that we're working on, it has quite a number of limitations. But 1 second, please. This thing should be dashboard. All sites. Then okay, I'm a guest here. That is actually why I'm not seeing the team to invite. As you can see, David's workspace guest. So let me just go to, let's say, this is my workspace for instance. Okay, good. Now this is my own workspace. As you can see, you are going to see something like this, which is team, and this is what you use to invite somebody as a guest. The reason why I'm not seeing this option is because I'm just working as a guest on David's workspace and I can't invite anybody. So if you're trying to collaborate with a fellow designer, you log in. What you just need to do is come to your workspace settings and 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 add the person's email. Because of the freelancers plan that I'm on, I can only invite 2 guests. So in three. So you add the email and you can select the role you want the person to add. You want the person to add this to the site as admin to be able to edit, or the only. But most times you can always, your clients will give for them, for them, for them, for them. So just keep in mind that is actually how the collaboration works. So I'm going to go back to David's workspace and continue from where we left off. So back to our designer. So the next thing we are going to do now is to create that section on this our home page. So things that we are going to keep in mind here is how to link CMS items. How to link CMS items. Then we now go into the blog page itself and start designing the blog content. So here, as usual, you create a section for blog. So Command E to bring out the dialog box. Then you search the blog. Control E or Command E depending on the type of device you're using. Then here I already have a section titled section underscore blog. So I think I'm actually going to retain that here. Then the next thing is Command E for my padding global because I'm using client first.
I think you skipped something.
All right.
Your section is supposed to be converted to section as a tag.
Yes, thank you. That is actually important for the HTML purposes. Thank you. That's done. Then from padding global, then this is actually going to be, of course, I'm still using container large. So let me expand this so you can see. So we have the section padding. Then after container large, the next one is going to be padding section large. So I'm just building on what we have. All right, then I need to give the div a class name, which is padding section large. If you notice, I have not added any item yet. And unlike, okay, let me just add this item here first, which is padding section large. Now, the next item I'm actually going to add to house my design. So let me take a look at this design again. Now, we have this in two form. We have a div log that is going to house this header. Then we have another div log that is going to house the thumbnails, which is the featured items. Now, there is one important thing we also did not cover for our blog, which is actually the switch section for featured. But by the time we get to functionalities, we're actually going to go back and add that feature. But right now, let us proceed. Now, what I need to do is I need to add a div block. Sorry. Command E. Now, this div block is going to house the header we have here, which is our blog, and it's going to house this category. So it's going to be like the parent. So I can title it blogs component. Now, I'm still going to have two different div blocks here. One is actually going to be for the header, or I can just use maybe the H3 text immediately for the header. But let's go to the blog first before we add the header. The next thing that you need to add for you to start building your CMS is to actually add a collection item. So here, I'm actually going to click Command E and type collection. So we have our collection list. Now, this collection list automatically comes with collection wrapper, collection list, and collection item. I'm actually going to explain how we use that. But before we start, once you add, you can also come to this part and click on this plus icon. Then scroll to the collection item and drag it into your workspace. But I just like to use the shortcut of Control E or Command E to search, bring out what I need to do. So this is it, CMS collection list. This is what we have here. Now, right now it is not linked, but binding this empty collection list to the particular CMS that we want to design. Don't forget, we have created two CMS items. One is for the CMS blog. But what we need to do now is to bind this our collection list that we just created to the design. So once you click on the collection list and you come to setting, it can say source. Where are we trying to get our data from? I want to get it from blogs and not categories, because category is still under blogs. So I'm actually going to click on blogs. Now, nothing has happened yet. That is because everything I'm working on, my blog is supposed to be inside my padding section large. Yes, then my padding. Oh, I have two padding section large. How come? All right, all good now. Yes, my blog component. Then I have my collection list. So now we need to give it a class name. Don't forget, in Webflow, if you do not give it a class name and you start styling, it will automatically generate class name. So it is important we give it a class name. So I'm actually going to type this blog list wrapper. Then the next one, I'm actually going to title it blog lists. Then the next one, I'm going to title it blog item. Now, to get started, if you can see, we have a flex box here, which is horizontal. For us to achieve this, we're actually going to create this on the list. So let me explain how it works. So I think to get started, I'm actually going to add an image. Then from the image, I'm actually going to then start styling individually. So let me just add an image first so you can understand what I'm saying better. So I come to this navigation bar, select image item or Command E, and you search image. Now, I want to get my image from blogs. Now, before now, what you do initially was to click on choose image and select your image. But because we have already filled in that section on our CMS, you don't need to choose image from our CMS, and you see what happens. Don't forget, right now I'm working on just one page. CMS actually gives you that flexibility of you making edits on one page and everything comes together. You don't need to enter for the three items. So just in case I have 20 blogs, are you saying I have to click images one after the other? No, I just need to do one of itself. So I'll go back to Webflow and this is where the binding is done. Get images from CMS. Don't forget, I already binded the entire collection to the CMS. So right now, so the blog CMS, if I click get images, then I can select. When I was creating those input field, I have more than one image as my input field. But for this section, I do not need the blog author's image. What I need is what? The thumbnail image. Then I click. Then it will automatically generate the 3 images that I've filled. So in this case now, if I have 20 images, it's actually going to automatically pick all the 20 blog thumbnail images. If I have 50 thumbnail images, so if your client needs to make edit on a CMS item, maybe they want to add a new blog post, they do not need to come to the designer view at all. They'll just go to the CMS and add a new item, and everything, including the page link and everything, will be generated automatically. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right. Now, everything is appearing on a straight line, but what I need to do, as stated in my design, is to have it on this flex box, which is horizontal. Welcome, David. So, like I said, what I need to do is to have it on a flex box, which is horizontal. So because I'm using a CMS item, that will be done on the blog list. So not on the blog wrapper, because the blog wrapper is just the parent to the blog list. Then the blog list is actually like, let's say all of you form a row, all of you form a column. So the blog list is that parent that is making that control. So for us to style it in the flex horizontal, click on your blog list, and of course come to flex box here. And if I click horizontal, as you can see, we are getting started. Now we need to work on the sizes and quite a number of elements that we need to do. Now, one of the things that is actually important that we need to do is In some cases, when you're working on blogs, looking at this blog the way it was designed, we do not have any button to say read article. That means this entire card is actually going to be a link block that when a user click, they can actually read the content of that article. Like this reference that we have here, if you return to all blogs, as you can see, there is no read element. So that means if as I'm hovering on it, you can see my pointer is showing that I can actually click on this item to read. So let us keep that in mind. So for us to achieve this, we can't make our blog item a link block because of course, CMS functionality. I think we need to create a link, we need to create a link, we need to create a link, we need to create a link block that is going to house all our item. Block to house all of these items. For functionality purposes, we are going to if you've created a div block, you might not need to delete. You can add a link block to a div block, add to a link, the div block to a link block, which is very easy. So click on my list. I will click on my image, and I'm going to wrap it with a div block, or I can actually create a div block and move my image inside. So I think the former is actually easier. So when you right click on your image, and you can see wrap in either div block or link block. So if I use div block, for instance, I can convert this div block to link block. How can I do that? Just click on the div block, right click on it, convert to link block. So now, for me to be able to link this to a particular CMS item, I just need to do it once. Don't forget we are working with CMS, so that's the flexibility of CMS. You perform one action and it automatically extends to all of the children of the CMS item that you have. So if I click on this setting, for instance, now instead of adding it to a URL, I won't do that. And the next one is what I will click on, which is collection page. Now I can click and says current blog. Now, what this current blog means is that by the time I click on this link image here, it will take me to the particular article that is containing this image. If I click on the next one, it will take me to that particular article, and if I click on this third one also, it will take me to that particular article. And don't forget, you don't need to create page for your CMS also, because we already have the blog template, which we are going to get to that part also. So from this place now, the next thing we need to do is to start adding all of our elements, like we have here, the title. Then we need to style it. Then as we are styling, we need to bind each of the elements that we are adding to CMS. So to get started, don't forget I created flex on this blog list, and I can just say, do we have any 3 column in this document? So I can just follow the design pattern. So I can see, okay, we don't have any 3 column yet. So I think this is the first 3 column we're having in the document. But let me go to the design and see. I'm coming, trying to inspect to see the spacing that was used.
Just click on block 3.
I'm actually supposed to click on the frame that is housing all the blogs, so that they have in between the blogs. Frame 30. Thank you. All right, the gap is 47 pixel. So in this case, if I scroll down to the bottom, so here, because we are using RAM, so 47 divided by 16 RAM. Good, we have achieved the gap. Then what is the next thing that we have here? So now we need to start adding the title, the summary. Then this is actually going to be a different div block. So now if you look at this design, one thing about CSS so if you understand CSS, Webflow will actually be super easy for you. Now, most of these things that we are seeing is actually box. Here, we are not going to create them as individual elements at this bottom here. So we are going to add this title, We are going to add another text for this summary. Then we need to add a div block that is going to house the author's image and the author's name. Then we can have the date by the side. If we wish, we can also have another wrapper for the dates, but it is not necessary. So to achieve that, this is what I would do. We are building everything inside link block. Then Command E, like I said. Now we are not using paragraph. We are going to use a text block. The reason why we are not using paragraph and why we are using text blocks is because all of these things just makes it easier for our SEO and our page optimization. By the time Google is trying to crawl and they are going to attribute, oh, this one is an H1 text. If you can remember, when I was creating, I think it was a Kinesmart that reminded me that I need to actually select the section. For the section I just created, I need to actually give it an ID of section. Was it ID? 1 second, please.
It's semantic labeling, I think.
So yes, so you said I need to come in section. So I just wanted to give you the reason why we need to use. So you said I need to create a tag. Yes, you said I need to add a tag of section. So in this case also, when we are building in this part, because we do not have a very long text, they are just short text, I would recommend that you use text block and not paragraph. You can use paragraph, but all of these things just gives your HTML a particular structure that, okay, this is not a paragraph text, this is just a text block, meaning like a very brief or short text. So for me to achieve that, I'm actually going to click on the link block, which is the parent that is going to house the item. Then Command E, or you click on your navigation and you search for text block. So we are not using text link because it will not even work. In Webflow, you can't put a link within a link. And looking at our design structure, we do not need a link because there is no read more button or read button. So everything here is actually a link. So I'm actually going to select the text block and not text area. Text area is actually going to be used for form. We'll get to that part. Maybe when you have an input field and input field for form, and you have, there are some form that you see like a note section which is like bigger than the normal input field. That is the text area. That is not what we are doing here. What we need here is the text block. So when I click on the text block, I'm not going to just change the text, because if you click on it and let's say I want to copy this content, for instance, copy as text, and I come here, if I paste this here, it's actually going to reflect on everything, and that is not what we want. So meaning we need to bind it to the input field on the collection that we have created. So if you click on the text again and you click on the setting icon, you click get text from blogs, of course, because we have binded this collection to blogs, and you select the field, and we are going to select blog title. This is the only case we are going to have different titles. If you're trying to type in the text manually, anytime you create a collection item, it is going to repeat the collection everywhere. So cases whereby you can have the collection repeated is, let's say, for instance, you have something like, looking at this as a reference, for instance, we have something like written by. Written by can be a text. Then this title can be a text also. Maybe 0.5 rem, maybe 0.5 rem, maybe 0.5 rem or 0.5 rem or 0.25 rem or 0.25 rem or 0.25 rem, a very minimal spacing. So meaning if you go to each of the page, you're going to see written by, but the name is going to author is going to change because you're going to bind the name text you. So any text you enter manually in a collection item is going to be repeated. Why we are seeing the reason why we are seeing this line and the blue color is because we are using a link block. Automatically, Webflow link block comes with a styling of blue because, of course, they want you to know that it is a link that is clickable, and also they want you to know that it is an href element, which is an href tag. Now, because of how this thing is being built and because of how our page was styled, I think one of the things I'm supposed to use instead of using a text block here is to use an H3, if I'm correct. David, is that right? This was supposed to be an H3 text, looking at the design we've been creating. Is David still on this call? I guess he's busy. So let me look at the font size. I need to go back to our styling. Sorry, I just need to study it to see. Maybe I need to use an heading text or I need to use a paragraph text. So because now what we are doing is a pixel perfect design, so you need to be very pay attention to everything you're doing. Here we have a font size of 32, and which is normal. So let me see what I have for my H3. So this is actually what happens when you pick up a design from another developer. You need to just go back and pay attention to everything that was done so you don't mix things up. This is actually 2rem. 2rem is supposed to be 16 plus 16, 32. Okay, so I think this is our H3 text.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. So now, in that case, we are not going to use text here. So what I'll do is this text, I will unbind it from the block title and bind it to the summary. Then I'm going to add in an H3 text and bind the title. Is that
No, sorry, it's not
it?
clear.
It's I needed to cross-check the font size that was used for the design. 1 second, please. All right. Here, if you recommend that you use a text element instead of paragraph. But looking at our design style now, this is actually supposed to be an H3 text. So instead of me to delete it, I will not delete it. I'm actually just going to click on this setting icon. Then instead of binding it to the block title, I'm going to bind it to the block summary. Then I will add an H3 text. I will add an heading text and then bind that to the title. So this is what I mean. Click on the link block, which is housing it. I think I need to remove this blue color and the underline first. So now this link block does not have any style because we have not done anything to it. It is still blank. So I'm actually going to call it blog thumbnail. All right, then what I need to do is scroll down, click on this decoration. I do not want any on the line, and then change the color to black. All right, good. So like I said, if you notice I did not delete this text, that is because I can still bind it to another text I needed on the section. So I'm actually going to press my command E again and select heading text, which is, I'm going to select H3 now. We already have it styled. So I'm actually going to get the text from the block title. Good. I like what is happening. Now, as you can see, we have different image sizes. We need to make them proportionate, like in the same dimension. So I'm actually going to click on this image and give it a class of block thumbnail image. Block thumbnail image, the height of the width. In some cases, I tend to set width. I won't set height. In some cases, I tend to set height. I will not set width. And I will explain. For this one, for instance, the height is 350 pixel. And we have the border radius of 8 pixel. But I think the way I exported the image, the border radius is there already. So I might not need to do anything on that. But I'll just set the height to 350 pixel divided by 16 rem. Now we have the same dimension. Now, the reason why I did not set size, which I don't most of the time, is because different persons might be viewing on different screen sizes. And because I already have a container that is containing my work, so even if they are viewing on a screen size of, let's say, maybe 2500 width pixel, as you can see, I still have the image in a very good proportion in terms of sizes. So most times I set height, I don't set width. Most times I set width, I don't set height. Literally, there is no rule to this. You can say, okay, I want to set my height and width. There is literally no rule to it. But I'm just giving you, okay, this is how I approach something like that, which is really, really not a thing of concern. What we are focusing here is the functionality of the CMS. All right, so now we have the set width. Now we need to look at the gap between each of the elements we have here. So I'll go back here and select the blog 3 card. So here we actually have two divs. One is housing this text, then the image. So that means I need to come back here and wrap this my title with a div block, not a link block now, because in Webflow you can't have a link block within a link block. It will not work. Let's try it. So here I want to wrap this my heading. Wrap in link block. Can you see? Link elements cannot be nested inside each other. So I need to wrap it in a div block. Wrap in a so title of I think I should wrap it first. Look.
Is it a link block because it's connected to the CMS?
No,
Is that why?
no. So even if it is not a CMS link block, in Webflow generally, when you have created it, you can't have an inside it.
Okay, but which one is the link block there? Because I've missed it.
Now, if you look at the navigation panel here, I have my blog list wrapper, I have my blog list, I have my blog item. These three items here, as you can see, they have the CMS icon by the side. They are automatically generated by the CMS. So to get started, I created a link block that is going to house all the items on the thumbnail.
Okay.
Now, the reason why I created that link block is because if you look at this design, there is no button that says read. There are some blog designs that you will see that you have a read button. In that case, you don't need to create a link block. You can just create a div block. Then you can have a button that you will bind.
Yeah, I get that.
Yes. So let's go back to our design. So like I said, we need to have a div block here that is going to house the thumbnail content. Then another, of course, the image. So here I've already created the div block for the thumbnail content. So I'm actually just going to drag this summary inside of it. Then I need to give it a class name before I start styling the div block. So I'm going to call it thumb blog thumbnail content. Then we need to check, okay, the gap here is 30 pixel. So if I click on this link block, I will make it a flex block, but not horizontal. So I need to come here and change it to vertical, as you can see. Then change this spacing to 30 pixel divided by 16 rem. Good. I'm still getting the line because it is a link block, so I just need to come back here and just enforce that styling I have for the blog thumbnail, which is to remove the decoration and change the font color to black. So far, are we all following?
Yeah.
Yes, pretty well.
Okay, I noticed something. Our cards, the images are stretching, and the middle one is kind of bigger than the right one and the left.
Do you know why?
Yes.
The reason is because I need to set it to cover in terms of the fit position.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So that was an omission. Thank you very much. So I would need to just click on the image, and then I already have a class for it. So instead of fill, I'll set it to cover. Then if I click, let's say I want to preview, I think it's perfect now. Not okay. What you're saying now is the sizes, right? For each card. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
The center one is bigger. Okay, good. Now we can approach this in two ways. One of the ways we can approach it is we need to set a dimension for our blog thumbnail, or we can make our blog list instead of flex, we can make it a grid item. So a grid item with, looking at our design, we have three columns, just one row. So if I'm using a grid, for instance, I'm just going to delete this other row and attach a different one, and there we go. I don't know, has David mentioned anything on grid, or I should quickly take it?
It does. You can tell us more.
Well, David is my boss, so if he has, so let me just explain. So the thing is, in most cases, let me say personally, when I'm designing and I maybe want to have like a flex item, in some cases, maybe things like blog or anything that has to do with card, I like to use grid. And the reason is because for grid, I don't have to worry about dimension for each of the blog item thumbnail or the blog thumbnail. If I was to use, let me change it back to Flexbox. So if I was to use Flexbox without using grid, then I need to and this design and pay attention to the styling of this three. Do I have a width for it? 1 second. So let me check. So this is it. Display flex. Okay, I do not have a particular width set for it, so that means I'm even allowed to use the grid. But otherwise, what I can do is, because I have 3 items here, I can just come back to my Webflow and say, okay, let me say 100 divided by 3 starts 3. So I can just click on the blog thumbnail, which is the blog item card here. Not the thumbnail, sorry, the blog item. Don't forget, the item is what the list is controlling as flex, and just set it to maybe about 33%. That way, by the time I click preview, we should have a very perfect dimension. So it's either you do this or you use grid. Now, looking at this one, you might see that you might be needing to maybe calculate or try to see, okay, how many this thing do I have here? Okay, 100% divided by, I don't like to go through that dimension. That is why anything that has to do with card, and I need to make it very, very proportion, instead of using individual sizes, because it is a CMS item, I only need to set one item. I can just come here and, of course, reset this, then click on the list and go and use grid. So that is where grid is actually like better. And of course, I already set it to 3 columns, 1 row. And one thing about grid is, as you see, look at it now, here I have 3 columns. It's make responsive design very, very easy. If I come to iPad, I really don't like how this is actually looking. So there are 2 things I can do here. I can either reduce the gap, or I make it 2 column. Of course, you know how to reduce the gap. Because I'm using grid, you can click on the edit grid and adjust the gap. Yeah, but I do not want to adjust the gap. Instead, I want to make it 2 columns. What I just need to do is to delete 1 column here, and it will automatically create a row for that. Then click on the delete, click on the delete, which is remove. The delete. I have 2 columns. Now we have 2 columns. If I click done, and I deleted column instead of 1. Sorry. David, are you back on this call? So I'm actually going to reset this back to our 3 columns.
But
all right.
I'm listening.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
okay. So like I said, grid makes responsive design very, very easy. So now what I just need to do is to delete 1 column. Now I have 2 columns. If you scroll down, as you can see, it is easy. So if I come back to mobile landscape, that I need to make it 1. Instead of if I had used flex, from that like 3%, I might need to change it to 50% on iPad. Then on the mobile landscape, I might just need to change the item dimension to 100%. But in this case, because I'm using grid, what I need to worry about is just click on edit, then delete the next column. So just to make it few. And of
How
course,
did
what we have on mobile landscape. You wanted to say something, Shina?
Yeah, sorry. How did you reset that? Because sometimes I make a mistake and I want to go back to what I did before, but I didn't see how you did that.
Oh, okay. So when you click edit, for instance, and now this blue color. So anytime you're making adjustment on Webflow and you're seeing blue and orange color, this orange color means it is getting this setting from another screen size or from another class. Now, if I click on it, for instance, meaning this value is gotten from blog list, the desktop version. That's why I'm seeing orange color. But if I'm seeing blue color, meaning I just, of course, made this edit. So if you click on this blue color, you can see reset.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, so you just need to click on reset. So I'll click on reset. It's back to 2 column. But of course, because of the dimension here, I just need to make it 1 column, which is perfect. Then I click done. So let's go back to our desktop version. Any questions so far? This class, is it because I'm not a very bubbly person? This class is kind of, just help me, guys. Just help me, guys. Please help me. All right. So now there is something I need to do, which is this underline, which I don't want. It is gotten because I'm using a link block. A link block here is because of our design. Please don't forget that. So I just need to remove the decoration, and then I think we'll be good, which is the blank thumbnail. So I need to come here and then remove the decoration. Yeah, set the decoration to none. Yes, I think we are good. All right. Then the next thing we need to do, so we already have a div block that is housing our content. Let's go back to our design. Now we need to have, don't forget, I said we need to have two different div block. We need to have a div block that is going to house the image and the name. And we need to, of course, set the size. Now, for us to achieve this, we will need one div block as the parent for this section here. Then we have another div block that is going to house the name and the image. Then we are going to have text for the date. So here now we need to create 2D blocks, but one is going to be a parent, then the other one is going to be a child. So I'm actually going to click on the block thumbnail. Now I can decide to work on this center item or this first one. Because I'm using a CMS, it does not really matter. Whatever I do on one is going to reflect on the rest. So I'm actually going to click on the thumbnail content, Command E to bring out my find anything, and I'll type div. Of course, click on div block. As you can see, we have the div block in the 3 places. Then the next thing, okay, let me just give it a class name. So looking at our design, I can say thumbnail sub info. Do I have a class name for thumbnail info already? Thumb. Okay, I can just say thumbnail info. Then I'll create another div block inside, which I'm actually going to call blog author. So Command E again for the next div block. So the blog author of the author. Think we have about 9 minutes to this class, but I really want us to finish this section. So, okay, I think I've added a div block. I need to give the class name of blog author. All right. Now, inside that blog author, I'm actually going to add an image. Now, I won't just go here and click choose image because we are using CMS, get image from. Of course, now we are using the blog author. Then, still inside that div block, we're going to work on the size very soon. Command E, then of course text for the blog title. Sorry, for the author's name. Then if you click on the parent of this section, which is the blog info, then I need to press Command E and add text that is going to be for the date. Now, don't forget, we are not having a div block for that. You may decide to parent it by giving it a div block and just call it maybe blog thumbnail date wrapper or something. But it is really, really not important. But you may actually choose to box it and just select publish date. Now, one of the things we are missing here is our styling. So we need to actually click on the parent of this, which is the blog thumbnail info, and then make it flex. And of course, when we make it flex, we want it to be what? Of course, distributes evenly. So as you can see, we have that distributed evenly. But of course, we need to work on the size of our image and the size of our text. So let's click on the image and see. Okay, we have 24 for the height and the width. So if I click here, I think I've given it a class already, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll click on the image. Okay. Oh, there is no class on it. So I'm just going to give it blog author as the class. Blog author is good for the class. Oh, we have an existing class already. Okay. So now there's something I need to do here. We already have the parent class as blog author. Now I need to change the class. I can either remove the class or I can click on duplicate class and just change the name. So if I click duplicate class, I have the opportunity to add it, to make an edit on the class, blog author image, because this is an image. Then I'll set the width and height to 24 divided by 16 rem. Then of course the height to 24 divided by 16 rem. Now inside the blog author container, I still need to set that to flex also to match our design. So I'm just going to click flex. Okay, I think we are getting there. Any questions so far? I think I should leave the remaining room for questions and discussions. So any questions so far? Any contribution? What do you guys think? How was the class? Thank you, Femi. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bolaji.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Abayomi.
Yes, so my question is, I think, is a bit broad, but just why is designing for blog very specialized and very specific that you have to use the CMS instead of it just being a design and a page that it leads to? Why is it very specialized? I mean,
so now let's do it like this. You see the stress that you probably went through to create this homepage. Now imagine if you're building a website with about 15 blogs to even get started. Are you going to go through that stress of having the same 15? And again, because of styling, because of functionality, because by the time you want to add SEO, for instance, or maybe you want to add schema, if time permits us, I'm actually going to teach us how to add schema to website. It's one of those extra things that Google used to grow your website for SEO 6. Its CMS allows you to actually make edit on one. As you can see now, we have 3 columns here, but I'm only making edit on one and I already have the rest sorted. Same with blogs templates. By the time you start designing the page, you only need to design one page. The rest is sorted. So why do you want to go through the stress of creating them individually when you can use CMS? Which option will you pick?
I'll pick the CMS option.
Exactly. So I think that is why it is necessary to actually keep that in mind, that the CMS just makes functionality of you having to avoid repetitive tasks. It helps you to contain it into one task and you get everything done once and for all. Any questions? Thank you, David.
I think I've answered all the questions. I've asked all the questions I wanted to ask initially.
Okay. Shina, are you good? Bolaji, Emeka, any question?
As for me, I have something to say. I know this class is soon end now. What if you continue again tomorrow? I'm enjoying the class.
All right, I'll discuss that with David and we'll see the availability. We'll see how we can work things out.
Quick one, Michael. You
Yes.
called David your boss. David called you boss. Who's the boss?
David is the boss. David is the boss.
Man, I lie you. Made it deceived. Don't be deceived, please. Oh, okay, man. Okay, go ahead now.
Any other question?
No, I just want to say thank you. I really enjoyed it today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I'll discuss with David and we'll see if we can continue tomorrow or move it to next week. And of course, we'll discuss a schedule and see what works.
Yeah. So
We are just getting started with CMS, guys. There's still a lot we need to learn on it.
yeah, a lot. So yeah. So I don't know if.
So I'll hand over to David. I think that's all from my end. So Dave, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. This is 9 o'clock already. Okay, exactly 2 hours. I definitely know that you guys are in safe hands when I sent out for a while, and I know why I had to like use him because he's like you said, my boss. So yeah. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you for doing justice to CMS and blogs. And there's a whole lot you can use CMS for. You can use CMS for a whole lot, not just blog. You can use it for team members. Anything that you know that will be repetitive. Like team members. You know how team members can be a lot, and each team member will have a team members page, inner page, and all of that. So you see how it can be a lot. Imagine you are doing that manually. Imagine you are doing that one team member at a time. It take you months. Imagine there like 50 team members or 70 team members, just 70. Then imagine having to build each page or build one page, duplicate it, then go and change the name and the about the team member and the picture, duplicate it, then go, it will take you time now, months and weeks. But that's where CMS comes in. CMS is a content management system. You can update, upload, create the database for all the data or whatever, and you can now reuse it. You build once and it duplicates across, you just design once and it's all over the place easily. No stress. You can update content from the CMS. You can, do a whole lot of stuff and it will replicate across all the pages. So yeah. But there's a whole lot you can do with that. People create web apps just with Webflow CMS, like simple, web apps because using, Webflow CMS, Zapier and all of that. But even with just CMS alone, you can do a lot, just connect things, on all of that. So yeah, but blog is a very good use case for, trying to explain CMS. And tomorrow is Sunday. I'm not sure if tomorrow would be a good day to like do anything. It would just be nice if people just rest on Sunday because it's not about saying you want that. It's about not abusing the our brain. At least we need to rest. We need to rest and not stress too much about things. So maybe what we can do, we can pick one maybe within the week, because now we are doing Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I wouldn't say Wednesday. My Wednesday is pretty blocked, so I don't know if Michael will be chanced, but then we'll talk about that maybe like on a Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Tuesday. If that's the case, then we'll see how that can be possible. If it's something that works with him, because he has to have the time, he has to want to do it, then we can just put it out on the group and say Tuesday 7 p.m. or Wednesday 7 p.m. Then we'll see how it goes. If you guys will, engage it and say, okay, maybe Tuesday, or then we'll see how we can make that possible. Aside from that, we'll stick to the normal Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think Christmas is, just holidays. Christmas is just in some weeks from now, and I think we will need to like all go for breaks and rest for the Christmas. Then give or take, hopefully by then we are done with this entire landing page, and we can now say, okay, you guys can go and try building this other landing page. Maybe in the month of January, I'll start seeing what you guys have done, and that should be it. That should be it. Then you can just start exploring from there. So yep. That's most likely. But the group is going to be there, and you guys can always hit me up anytime. Then I'll see how I can make this like a system from next year. So yeah, that's basically it, guys. That's basically it.
Thank you. Amazing.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, so I guess that should be all for today. Thank you guys for attending, and see you guys on the WhatsApp group. I'll be dropping a message there.
Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
All right then.
Thank you so much for the class. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
All right. Ciao, everybody.